The Unseen Path. A Journey Through the Shadows, an original short story by FableFrames. The world around me seemed to shudder, a ripple of unease coursing through the fabric of reality itself. It was as if the cosmos, in its infinite wisdom and power, had sensed the impending disaster and was attempting to rectify the course of events. The air seemed to thicken, the hum of the car engine becoming a distant echo as an inexplicable sense of dread washed over me. But even the omnipotent forces that govern the universe seemed powerless to prevent the catastrophe that was about to unfold. Or perhaps it was the other way around. Maybe our reality is the cruel and unyielding cosmic force of oppression, and the distortion was our chance at survival. Either way, we all survived the accident, and for that, I am eternally grateful. My wife, Clara, was seated beside me, her delicate features illuminated by the dim glow of the dashboard lights. Her soft hazel eyes were turned away from me, focused on the backseat where our daughter, Lily, was seated. Clara's face was a picture of maternal concern, her lips moving in soothing whispers as she tried to calm our distraught child. Lily had dropped her beloved stuffed rabbit, a worn-out toy with one button eye and a patchwork of stitches, onto the car floor. Her wails filled the confined space of the car, reaching an octave that only children can achieve, a sound that seemed to tear at the very fabric of my sanity. It was jarring, irritating, and distracting. But not as distracting as trying to read a text while driving, not as dangerous as falling asleep behind the wheel, not as irresponsible as operating heavy machinery under the influence. Those folks tend to survive their accidents despite their culpability. Everyone else around them dies. In that moment, I made a choice. Not a choice born out of selfishness or recklessness, but one of love and concern. I turned my gaze away from the road, my eyes meeting Lily's tear-streaked face in the rearview mirror. Her sapphire eyes, usually filled with childlike wonder, were now clouded with fear and confusion. I tried to offer her a comforting smile, to reassure her that everything was okay. But in that split second of distraction, our lives were irrevocably altered. When my eyes returned to the road, a figure darted out from the darkness. It was a fleeting shadow, a blur of movement that sent a jolt of panic through my veins. I couldn't tell if it was a human, an animal, or some otherworldly creature. It doesn't matter. My instincts took over, and I swerved violently to avoid a collision. The car skidded on the slick asphalt, the tires screeching in protest. The world outside the car windows became a dizzying blur of motion, the peaceful night transformed into a whirlwind of chaos. I tried to regain control, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. But it was too late. The car flipped, rolling over and over in a terrifying dance of metal and glass. The world outside became a blur of lights and shadows, a chaotic whirlwind that ended with a deafening crash as we slammed into a cluster of trees lining the road. The last thing I remember was the sound of Lily's screams being drowned out by the cacophony of shattering glass and crunching metal. The next thing I knew, I was standing on the side of the road, my heart pounding in my chest like a wild drum. I don't know how I'd gotten there. The stench of gasoline filled my nostrils, a potent reminder of the danger we were in. The car, once a symbol of family outings and joyful road trips, was now an unrecognizable heap of twisted metal and shattered plastic. Clara and Lily were trapped inside, their fates unknown. But what truly sent a chill down my spine was the sight of my own body, still strapped to the driver's seat, hanging upside down in the wreckage. Suddenly, a man appeared before me. He was tall and slender, his silhouette blocking out the moon and the star-studded sky. His voice was soothing, a stark contrast to the chaos around us. He told me that he was here to help, that he was on my side. He offered me a chance to save my family from the wreckage. All I had to do was make it home on foot from here. It wouldn't be easy, but if I could do it, my family and I would walk away from all of this without a scratch. It would be as if this accident never happened. I agreed without hesitation. I would do anything to save my family. And so, I embarked on the most challenging journey of my life. I followed the path the man pointed out, a path that led me through a dark forest, a path that was filled with pitfalls and dangers. But I kept going, for Clara, for Lily. I had no other choice. The forest was a labyrinth of shadows and whispers, the trees towering above me like ancient sentinels. The path was narrow and winding, the ground uneven and littered with fallen leaves and branches. Every rustle of the leaves, every snap of a twig, sent my heart racing. I could feel the weight of the forest pressing down on me, the darkness seeping into my bones. But I kept going, pushing through the fear and uncertainty. The journey was long and arduous, filled with trials and tribulations. I encountered my past mistakes, my regrets, and my fears. Each one was a ghost from my past, a specter that haunted the path ahead. I faced them all, confronting the guilt and shame that had been buried deep within me. I faced the mistakes I had made, the opportunities I had missed, the people I had hurt. I faced the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of being alone. But I kept going, for Clara, for Lily. I had no other choice. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, I made it home. I was exhausted, battered, and bruised, but I made it. My clothes were torn and dirty, my body aching from the physical exertion. But the sight of our home, standing tall and welcoming in the early morning light, filled me with a sense of relief and accomplishment. I had made it. I had faced my fears and overcome the trials. I had earned my second chance. And just as the man promised, my family and I walked away from the accident without a scratch. It was as if the accident never happened. But I know it did. I know the journey I took was real. I know the trials I faced were real. And I know the second chance I was given was real. I learned that second chances do exist, but they're not what you think. They're not free. They come at a cost. They require sacrifice, determination, and the will to face your fears and regrets. But in the end, it was all worth it. For Clara, for Lily, it was all worth it. I had faced my darkest fears and emerged victorious. I had earned my second chance, and I would not waste it. I would cherish every moment, every memory, every second chance I was given. Because in the end, that's all that matters.